Hello, everybody, and welcome to No Unscripted Utopia, Episode 8 Walking. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about executive privilege. I'm going to keep it as short as I can. You may hear my dogs snoring or licking themselves. Please pardon me. Uh, and you may hear firecrackers early in the morning. I live in a strange place. So, executive privilege. The storm that's coming for the previous administration cannot be stopped. Uh, Judge Tanya Chutkan's opinion on executive privilege is ironclad. I read the analysis portion of it, and she lays out every reason for why Donald does not have executive privilege. Uh, to be clear, a past president can assert executive privilege, but according to both courts, the Supreme Court and codified law, it is the incumbent, meaning at this right now, Joe Biden, who may waive that asserted privilege because only the incumbent is in the right position to assert it, the privilege, or waive the privilege. So it seems, and if you want to read the opinion, just go on Twitter, go on Scott McFarlane, or um, I mean there are, go on my Twitter account. I have it's No One Unscripted, and you can check out all of the links to the opinion and the excerpts from the case that talks about the different issues, and you'll be able to. And Judge Chutkan does, and her clerks do an excellent job of using simple language to explain this to everybody. Now, what we're seeing Donald do right now is continuing to uh, pass or continuing to motion Judge Chutkan over and over and over again. I think he's done it twice right now, as of now, to block her own ruling. I mean, I don't understand it. It's not worth it for me to even understand why he's trying to do this. Uh, but suffice it to say, he's already appealed this, which means it's going to go to the DC Circuit. The DC Circuit is going to look at Judge Chutkan's opinion. It's going to ask whether it's going to there's going to be argument, or the court is going to say no, we affirm the judgment and just be done with it. And then he's going to take it to the Supreme Court, and the same thing. Either the Supreme Court will grant certiorari or not. He wants to hurry the process because the National Archives has said that it's going to release the documents that the Select Committee has requested on Friday if the court doesn't say anything to the contrary to that. So uh, he wants a court, whatever court it is, to stay the National Archives from releasing that, even if it is for a day. He's living day by day right now. He's living hour by hour because if you look at the desperation, and if you look at, I mean, it's desperation, distraction, obstruction, stonewalling. It's just it's wasting the court's time. It's delaying the process, and it's buying him time to build contingencies for himself, whether he's going to leave the United States. Remember, he talked about, like, if there's a billionaire's tax, blah blah blah, that he's just going to leave. Boy, you don't got $1 billion no more, and you probably never had it either, considering, like, the inflated taxing and this and that you do. that you have been doing that we are going to see come out with the New York tax fraud cases. Now, he, I don't know what's going through his mind exactly at the moment right now, but I can tell you this, that judicially speaking, it doesn't look good at all for Donald Trump. And it just he the legislative branch, the executive branch have agreed to share documents. As Judge Chutkan points out in her opinion, it's it's rare to see these two branches cooperate on this. And granted, the select committee only has two Republicans in it, it's still bipartisan. The legislation that Biden has passed, both the COVID relief bill as well as the infrastructure bill that just passed, they were both bipartisan, despite despite the poison and the sedition and the treason that Donald keeps on spreading, and his agents keep on spreading. And I'm appalled, by the way, at the Justice Department's silence. I'm appalled by it. I don't understand it. Maybe they're approaching it in a grassroots way and they're going to go ground up. Maybe they're waiting for the judiciary to speak to be able to say, now we have both uh, U.S. code authority and judicial authority to be able to go after him, because executive privilege doesn't apply and we can get these and we can go with it. So maybe that's what they're waiting for. I don't know. It seems like it. I mean, it would seem highly disingenuous of Merrick Garland to come out and cry during his confirmation hearing and say that he owed this country, our country, a debt, and then just do nothing about the biggest attack on our democracy, not on our soil, on our democracy, on the idea of democracy. People are comparing, and I've done an episode about September 11th, and people are comparing all kinds of riots and violence and this and that. None of them happened at the US Capitol on the day that the presidential votes were being certified by Congress. That's never happened before. The Confederate flag had never before flown inside the US Capitol until January 6th. When you attack a symbol and you attack an idea, it's impossible to quantify the monetary amount of it, of that damage. But that damage is profound, it's generational, and it's ideological. So it bores down to the core of who we are as a country. It bores down to the stability of our nation and the stability of our laws, including our fundamental liberties, including the right to free speech, and not having the state or police officers just barge into your home without a warrant. I mean, it happens. Breonna Taylor happened. But it's rare. But it won't be rare at all if all these rights go away. So it's very rare, Judge Chutkan says, that it's very rare that these two departments, the executive, two branches of government, the executive branch and the legislative branch agrees on something. They agree on this, and it is not the avenue, it is not the jurisdiction, so to speak, of the courts, of the judicial branch to get in the way of that. Because the judge says that, it's that Donald wants me to be a tiebreaker between Biden, the current president, and him, who is a former president. But as she says, presidents are not kings, and plaintiff is not president. And the president, the incumbent president, is the one who has the right and the power and the authority to assert or waive executive privilege, because only the sitting president can fully understand whether or not the said documents that are over which executive privilege is being asserted have a public interest in being released or a national and public interest in being held under executive privilege. And President Biden has already said, I don't want to assert privilege over this twice. Donald Trump asked for executive privilege twice from Joe Biden, and Joe Biden said no twice. Judge Chutkan ruled against Donald Trump's stopping of National Archives from releasing the documents, and then Judge Chutkan ruled again to Donald Trump's motion just today, just now, to block her own order. It's just they want to drive us nuts. You know, Donald wants to drive everybody nuts. He wants to sow chaos. And poor thing, that's because that's what he has inside of him. And whatever, he can have it inside of him, but the time needs to arrive really quickly when it no longer affects our lives. We need to realize that Donald Trump is an existential threat to our democracy. And every day that he's allowed to release statements that are effectively, that's proof of sedition, and it's going to be used against him in a court of law. He needs to be given the message. And I believe that the DC Circuit will. I think his only short-term relief, if any, will be that the appellate court will stay the judgment from the lower court, Judge Chutnik's judgment, and I believe they will look at it, and then they will rule against Donald, and then it'll go up to the Supreme Court. And I cautiously would predict to say that after the appellate court has ruled against Donald or not taken the appeal, or I don't know, I forget how that works, that the Supreme Court will just deny certiorari, just not take the case. And if that happens, then the court that delivered the last opinion becomes the standing precedent. It becomes the ruling precedent. It becomes the law. So as of right now, Judge Chutkan's opinion is law. And if the appellate court doesn't stay, then on Friday, National Archives will release the documents to January 6th Select Committee, and the Select Committee will review it. And I hope that the Select Committee lets the public see it and hear it. I predict that we're going to see, more than anything, Donald talking bad about his own followers. I think we're going to see and hear language about what he really thinks about his followers. I think that we're going to see, obviously, blatant sedition and planning. I think we're going to see comments about reckless disregard for the safety and life of certain members of Congress. I think we're going to see a lot of things and a lot of connections with the ongoing investigations right now. And I'll leave it at that. I'll tell you something, though. I'm going to leave it at that, but I'll tell you one last thing. You're going to see a lot of people out there who are downplaying this, who keep saying, move on, move on. No. Why am I going to move on from an attack on my country? Like, get a life and stand strong, you know? Follow Scott McFarlane, follow Glenn Kirshner, follow like numerous Kyle Cheney, Kyle Griffin. God, there's so many of them who are amazing journalists who are out there every single day. And Lisa Desjardins, Yamiche, all of them. I can't like remember all of them. Go out there, and if you're on Twitter, spend some time reading the news from these sources. Learn, if you want to research on your own, do it properly. you if you don't have basic learning of how to do research, then I humbly request you check out an episode that I recorded about how to research information. It, there are many uh, people who will just make a joke out of researching on your own. But if you know how to do research, if you know how to do legal research, if you know how to do just regular old research in college, then you know what sources are primary sources, secondary sources, what sources are given more weight than others. And if you don't know that, then go and learn about that before you go and do your own research. Do this for your country. Do this for your kids, because your kids are going to be the one who are going to be affected the most by this. You're going to just die one day, probably sooner because of climate change and because of COVID. But our children are going to be the ones who suffer. And they're going to suffer horribly. And they're going to ask why we didn't do anything to stop our democracy from sliding, from stopping our mania with consumption, you know? So, yeah, I'm going to rant away now, but I got to go downstairs to check out my dad because he had a heart attack last year. Yep. All right. Take care. Not last year, 4 months ago. Seems like the whole year. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate this. Everybody, take care.